Hi guys, welcome back. So last month I said that I'll be very curious to look at the Q2 portfolio review for the Hillhouse Capital. Hillhouse Capital is actually a very well respected investment fund in China, founded by Mr. Zhang Lei. A lot of the fund in China and Hong Kong also admire his strategy and his vision and understanding of the Chinese economy. So it's very good for a company to have their investment. So he is quite heavy in Chinese stocks. Out of the top 10 heaviest positions, 8 of them are Chinese companies. And he said that during a conversation with the president of BlackRock, which is the biggest investment fund in the world, he said that the best opportunity for investment right now is in China, and it is at this moment. So that is why he thinks this is the best timing and best opportunity to go heavy in China. So that was the end of last year in 2020, and I'm very curious to know what is his strategy from after all the storm of the geopolitics and regulations. One thing to mention is that the Hillhouse had emptied the position on TAL in Q1 2021, so when the share price was at the range between 60 to 90. Even though he had expressed before that education is the type of investment that one does not need to quit ever. And investing in education is something that gives a lot of happiness. So regardless of this, he had quit his whole investment for TAL and YQ. Especially he had been very heavy in the education sector, especially TAL, for many years. So for this, you have to admire his knowledge and strategy. Either he had good information or really wise strategy to stay away from all the K-12 education. So that is why I think it's very good to look at their portfolio changes. And it seems like they have good understanding on the Chinese government. So the number one position is still BGNE, which is one of the biggest pharmaceutical company in China, with the shares worth of $1.8 billion, so around 19% of their position in the portfolio. And then the second largest position is still PDD, but they have reduced 32% of the shares and worth $876 million, taking up around 9% of their portfolio. So even though it's the second largest position, it had reduced 30% of the position. I think it's because it had a very big run up last year, so they would think it's about time to take profit, to lock in some good gains. They had also reduced JD.com by 11%. Something worth mentioning is iQIYI, ticker symbol IQ, which had been falling quite a bit ever since the article margin call, and they own 600 million worth of shares. So from the Q1 filing, it showed that they had increased their position on IQ, but for Q2 they did not change anything about that position. So for now, the position on IQ should be quite a bit lost, but even though it had been dropping ever since slowly, they did not change the position, surprisingly, because they have a bigger position on IQ than even Bilibili, which is around $240 million. So the position on IQ is actually 3 times more than the Bilibili position. And the first thing I look at is NIO, of course, because they had NIO before but emptied the position during the Q4 2020 and restarted the position actually last quarter, Q1. And this quarter, they had increased the position by 575%, owning total worth of $45 million. So that is at least a good sign. But overall, not a big position to be 45 million. Let's look at Xiaopeng. For Xiaopeng, they have $39 million and increased the position by 36%. Not as crazy increase as NIO, but not much smaller position. No changes for YSG because it's not a big position. It's only 2 million. No changes for Tuya. They own $58 million. They have reduced Uber by 20% and reduced quite a lot of Zoom by half. and they emptied the position. For PayPal, completely sold out 100% of it. So let's look at what they increased the most. First, they have increased the position on Alibaba by 400% with a total amount of $160 million. And then it's not as big increase as the VIPS, so VIP shop. They increased the position by 1,800%. So that's the biggest increase by percentage. Only total of $180 million, so slightly more than Alibaba indeed. So it seems like they are more bullish on VIPS than Alibaba. And also, regardless of all the crackdown or regulation on the internet e-commerce platform, Hillhouse is still bullish on the e-commerce site. Perhaps they would think it's already quite beaten down and the intrinsic value seem like they are picking up good bargains, because they're both quite undervalued. Another one they increased the most by percentage is MNSO, ticker symbol MNSO. They increased the position by 1,800% with a total amount of $117 million. So not a small position for such small to medium cap. Another one that had been beaten down quite dramatically lately, and because they built in the position a lot in Q2, we can look at the average price in Q2. It would be around $23 to be average. And right now it had dropped to $12 these 2 days. I remember back in April and also in June, we have a few days with giant volume spike, and it might be big capital, big institutions building up their position. Might just be the Hillhouse Capital. Seems like they are very bullish on MNSO, and right now its total market cap is $3 billion. And because the majority of the shares are owned by the company's management, that means Hillhouse Capital owns a lot of the floating shares. So their movement, their action would influence the share price quite a bit. And judging from the volume for these 2 months, so after the Q2, since July, the volume had been much less than the Q2. So I don't think they sold out their position with this amount of volume. There's a good chance they're still holding their shares. So that's it for today, and if you have enjoyed this video, please give me a big like and write me a great comment, and I'll see you in my next video. That's it guys. Hope you can find my videos helpful. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and give me a big like. Thank you.